Well, I would just like to call Uber out.
Hey Internet, it's Aaron, your personal driver. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about background checks. Mostly because there's a viral video right now that I'm going to respond to and tell her
I was even voted Uber's All-Star Driver of Colorado last month.
why she's wrong. Okay guys, if this is your first time here, every Monday I release a ride share video to help you and everybody else. I release that on Monday. Every Wednesday I have a live chat where you can ask me anything. It's for new drivers, so if you have any questions about how to make the app work, how to sign up, those sorts of things, Wednesday at 3 o'clock is when I do that. And every Friday and Saturday at 10 Pacific Standard Time, I do live in-car streams, so you can watch me drive around the city trying to chase that surge. So if this is your first time here, go ahead and hit subscribe down there and the stupid YouTube bell icon so you can be notified when I am either uploading or live streaming. And if you're returning, welcome back. Go ahead and hit thumbs up and leave a comment down there about your personal opinion about background checks. Should criminals be allowed to ride for Uber or Lyft? So this video is going to be almost exclusively about Uber because Lyft has a much higher threshold to enable drivers to drive on their platform. Uber basically lets anybody drive, and it's really hard to get rejected. Lyft, however, has actual standards, and they won't let people with certain criminal backgrounds get on to their platform. So I'm just going to ignore Lyft for this video, and it's just going to be about Uber. So there's been a recent video that has come out by a really super hot mom, basically yelling and screaming and crying and complaining because Uber kicked her off the platform. Uber apparently has changed their background checks a little bit, so thank God for that. And she had a criminal background and has been cut off of the platform.
Because somebody high up in Uber's legal team decided that it would be a genius idea to suddenly and without warning implement background checks.
She's really upset by it. But the thing is, she can't be doing rideshare with a criminal background. And I'm sorry to say that. I know it's harsh. A lot of drivers are going to get mad at me. A lot of drivers have criminal backgrounds, so they're going to give me thumbs down and tell me I'm an asshole. But that's just it. And I'll tell you why. It's not that hard to explain why criminals can't do rideshare. So, first off, why did Uber do this in the first place? Uber did this because there are massive lawsuits across the country because Uber is hiring people who should not qualify for rideshare. The problem for Uber, and one of the reasons why they're doing 180 days of change, is because they've treated riders so bad that 92 to 96% of drivers don't drive after 1 year. So that means out of 100 drivers, 4 people will continue to drive for Uber after 1 year. And that's because Uber basically screws everybody. So Uber has a major driver problem. The rates are too low, they treat their employees too poorly, and they are in desperate need of drivers. What compounds the problem is now instead of giving $500 for each driver, they're giving $50 for each driver. So the real need and desire to recruit people with your code has gone almost down the drain because you have to recruit 10 times as many people to make the same kind of money. So people who are in the recruiting business have just simply stopped. So Uber is having a lot of trouble finding drivers. So what they did is they dropped the standards and started taking people with criminal backgrounds. Okay, so I'll post some stuff here. If you've seen my other videos, you know I've already said that. The problem as a company when you hire known criminals is that when they continue to commit crime, you're liable for it, okay? So rideshare is a unique business compared to most businesses. Now, before I go on, I want to say the criminal justice system in the United States is not only terrible, but it's racist. So if you want to get mad at me for that, that's fine. I'll post an article up here about somebody who was innocent of a crime, didn't commit. They later found camera footage showing that they didn't commit the crime, but just got rounded up and they refused to take him to trial. He was spent 3 years in a hardcore prison at the age of 16. From 16 to 19, he was in prison without ever being charged of a crime or going to trial for that crime. Okay? 3 years in jail. And because he was a kid, he was innocent, he wasn't a criminal, he didn't know how to act in a prison. He wouldn't, act like a prisoner. He had shit kicked out of him, beat up. They put him in solitary confinement for over 1,000 days, kind of for his own protection. And all because he wouldn't admit to doing something he didn't do. The DA in the case knew he was innocent, knew that he didn't have a case against him. He said, oh, you don't want to sign this plea deal? Well, guess what? You can stay in prison until you do. So for 3 years, he rotted in prison because he refused to admit that he was a criminal when he wasn't. So one, the guy's a goddamn hero, and God bless his heart. And two, that's the situation that gets criminal records for people who are innocent. Not very many people can spend 3 years in prison, especially at the age of 16, getting beat up and raped and starved to death and then put in solitary confinement. So people just sign their name, whatever. And oftentimes the plea deal doesn't give them any kind of prison like sentence or term. It's for time served. So they plead to like something really low, and that keeps the lawyers' numbers up, right? So they can say, oh, look how many criminals I got, even though they're forcing innocent people to sign on the dotted line. And it's a terrible thing. So I understand that the justice system in the United States is super messed up, especially if you're poor. I also think that criminals should get a second chance. Just because you commit a crime doesn't mean that you will commit that crime again. I mean, statistically speaking, it does mean you're going to commit like, let's be honest, recidivism is really high. That's why there's that saying, once a thief, always a thief. Okay, so I understand that. But some people do change it around, and we need to give opportunities to people who have criminal backgrounds to live a normal life. Because if we shun them from society, then they're never going to stop being criminal because they literally can't. They can't hold down a job. That being said, there are some specific jobs where people with a criminal background just simply can't work. And if that's too harsh for you, I'm sorry, but that's just the honest truth.
You're telling me I can't drive for Uber?
And rideshare is one of those businesses, okay? And that's because you're one-on-one with people who are intoxicated, and you're taking them to their private homes where they live and to their private places of work where they work. Okay? So we can have a conversation about what kind of criminals should be allowed to drive if you don't think there should be a blanket ban, and that's my personal opinion. But there are obviously crimes with which there is just zero tolerance. You can't do it. Stalking is one of them. Domestic violence is one of them. Rape is one of them. Theft is one of them. I can go on, but there are several crimes where you could, I mean, if you're taking someone drunk to their house and you're going to rob them, you can do that. You can murder them. You can rape them. In fact, again, I'll post them here. You've seen them all before. This isn't new stuff for you guys. Sexual assault and rape in recent years has become a huge problem for Uber. What happened is they only do 7 years as a background check. So if you rape someone 8 years ago, you can still be an Uber driver. No. If you have rape on your rap sheet at any time in your life, that's it, you're done. You can't do rideshare. And I'm sorry, I know some people are like 18-year-old seniors having sex with 16-year-old sophomores after prom. And it's an injustice that we consider that person a rapist because they're in high school, they're hanging out together. It's 2 years difference, and they're going to the same prom. They're in the same high school. Yet this girl or this guy, whoever is the older one, goes to jail. And you know what? When I was 16, I dated an 18-year-old. She was a senior in high school. She took me to her prom, and we had sex. And it's a shame to think that if she had been caught by the police, or I was an asshole and we broke up and I called the cops on her, that she'd be going to jail as a rapist because I was 16, she was 18. But I mean, that being said, if that's on your record, you can't do rideshare. I mean, I'm sorry, it's a sex crime. And I know there's an injustice there, but you as an individual are not more important than the broader scope of keeping women safe when they get into rideshare.
You are dirty! Everything about that is dirty!
Taxi cab drivers for too long have been getting away with assaulting drunk women, forcing women to give them sex and over cash for rides. It goes on and on. This has been an abuse of taxi cab drivers, and it's one of the reasons that women have only basically done ride shares because they perceive it to be safer for them. And recently, Uber has failed women across the country by not protecting them, by hiring these criminals. So that brings us back to the video. Okay, I know she committed a crime when she was much younger.
Not felt the cold metal feeling of cuffs on my wrists in over 20 years.
And she's since moved on, and she has kids now, and she wants to be a productive member of society.
I paid for my crime, and then some. Years ago. I have been nothing but a good person. I do nothing but good for this world, for my community. And yet I continue to be punished for something I did when I was 18 years old.
But the reason Uber kicked you off, it's not personal. It's because they can no longer legally stand up for their policy of letting known criminals on the platform. So maybe there should be an appeal process, and you should be able to appeal to Uber and say, hey, this happened, you know, decades ago, and or give you time to get that expunged off your record through the judicial process, which, depending on your crime, may be something that you can do. But I can't, for the life of me, justify letting anybody with a criminal background do Uber. It's just, it's unacceptable, and it might sting, and you guys might get mad at me, but that's the simple truth. And I keep it real on this channel. That's why y'all come back and watch my videos over and over again. You like it when I say things you agree with, and I'm keeping it real, but you get really mad at me when I keep it real and I say something you don't agree with. And I'm sorry for that you're angry right now, or that this affects your life somehow. But that's the truth, you know. Let's give you just one example. If you have robbery on your criminal background and you start doing rideshare, how many people you pick up at their house and take them to the airport? Well, now it's a professional thief. You know that person isn't home. Just go steal all their stuff while they're gone. You know, it goes on and on and on. It's an intimate setting. It's a one-on-one setting where the driver has all the power, because the driver can drive the person anywhere they want to go. And before I let you go, I'll also point out, I know it's dangerous for the driver too. You should definitely carry mace or a firearm. And I know it's against Lyft and Uber policy and you will get fired. But when someone pulls a gun on you or a knife on you or tries to steal your car and you mace them or you shoot them, which happened, by the way, in Florida a few years ago, it's better to get fired from Uber than be shot, because that does happen. So Uber does no vetting of customers, and that's dangerous for the driver. So I can guarantee people didn't watch this far and down in the comments, they're already trashing me about how PACs are criminals. I know. That's something that you have a choice though. If you don't want to drive criminals around, you don't have to do rideshare. And I'm on your side. I think Uber and Lyft should vet customers. I mean, they get their credit card number. They should also ask for their social security number and do a criminal background check. And if they have a really bad, violent past, then they shouldn't be allowed to have the privilege of rideshare. They can take the bus and buy a car, they can walk, you know. But obviously, bottom line is more important than driver safety, so Uber and Lyft aren't going to do that. But I hear you. It's not fair if they do a background check on drivers and they don't do them on PACs.
What a joke! Uber, what a fucking joke you are!
It's a business, and when it comes down to it, Uber is liable if they hire a known criminal and that criminal hurts a customer. They're gonna get sued for that, and the government is gonna come down on them too. So not only is this video out with this super hot mom, but that's why Uber ultimately got kicked out of London. That's why they got kicked out of Austin, okay? Because their background checks are a joke. Austin wanted to fingerprint background check like they do taxi cabs, and so Uber and Lyft left, and then they lobbied at the state level and got the Texas governor to overturn Austin's desire, and now it's free range, so criminals can pick people up in Austin once again. But London is not playing. Uber is going to do real background checks. They're going to stop hiring rapists. They're going to stop hiring thieves. They're going to stop hiring murderers, and they're going to adhere to basically regular background checks for cab drivers. And you can get mad at that, guys, but there's a reason for that, and that reason is safety. I agree with the London decision. You should be able to do rideshare in London, but you should also have a real background check so customers know that they're safe.
Over 2,600 trips, 4.95 star rating. And let them know what a terrible company they are.
Hey guys, I hope you liked that video. If you did, go ahead and hit like, thumbs up, and go ahead and leave a comment and subscribe. You hit this button here. There are also going to be 2 videos here and here if you'd like to watch some more. And don't forget to hit the little bell icon that you have on your YouTube so you can get updates when I leave them. Thanks guys, bye.